Your lips suck, bro. Your lips suck. Okay, bro. Woo! For far too long, the home-based lure maker has been really saddled with subpar options for crankbait lips. Or are they bibs? I call them lips. I heard someone else call them bibs. Bibs, that's what you put on babies at a crawfish boil. Ain't got no bibs here, it's lips. So the options have been pretty weak in my opinion, right? So people have been cutting flat Lexan, plexiglass, maybe flat metal. But when you look at actual real world production lures, commercially available lures, their lips are not flat. They're almost always concave, curved in the back. And I don't know if this affects performance as much as it does strength, right? You just have extra material there, it's gonna be stronger. So today I'm gonna show you how to design these in Fusion 360 and print them out on a 3D printer. Let's do this. All right, we're gonna start with a lure body I've already made before, and I didn't make this using the current techniques I use that I've done in my previous masterclass videos, but I really like this bait and I wanted to get back to it and finish it. And we're gonna put a lip on it and I'm gonna walk you through the whole process. All right, we're gonna start off with some parameters because everything should have parameters. So if you look at this lure, it's about 20 millimeters in width at the front here, where I'm gonna put my lip. I'm gonna put my lip roughly kind of right in this section there. It's a wake bait lip, so it's gonna go pretty vertical. I'll put a little bit of a angle on it. So I already have a pilot hole here for my screw eye. You know, as I mentioned, I've already designed this bait before I went down the path of making the lip. That was a mistake. You should make the lip, then do your pilot holes. That way you can put a pilot hole through the lip to help secure everything in place. And you can't really get a screw eye through cured resin. It's just not strong enough, the screw eye isn't. So what you want to do is, if you can, remember, make your pilot holes after you've positioned your crankbait lip, but in this case, we're gonna fudge it. So let's put in some parameters. We click modify and go to change parameters. And what we want to do is lip top width. And that's gonna be 20 millimeters. And again, we can adjust these later, just getting some things in place. And let's do lip max width. And you know, frankly, I got no idea. So, whew, do I even have a lure around here? Where's my wake bait lure? Dude, I basically sleep with that lure. Where is it? All right, I don't know where my Berkeley wake bull is, but I got this Mans. I think this is a 1- or something like that. So what I'm gonna do is just look at the kind of ratio between the top entry point to the body and the widest point. So if I measure the top here, I'm at 9.91, and at its widest point, it's 15.7. So that's kind of like a 50% increase, I'm gonna just call it. Just for shits and giggles. So we can actually use some math to do that. So for the lip max width, we're gonna take the lip top width and multiply that, asterisk 1.5, right? Because that's roughly what we were before, 9 to 15-ish. Again, I can change it later, but that's probably a good starting point. And let's add our lip height. This one I'm kind of struggling with because I'm not exactly sure, because this one in I got is a lot smaller than the lure I got. So that's 13.5. So it's slightly smaller than the width. So let's do that then. Let's just do some more math. Math is fun. So if we do lip max width times, let's do 1.1, just for fun. So it's 10% bigger than the max width is how high my lip is gonna be. So to be clear, we're talking about the lip height that's outside of the body. We're going to be handling the inside of the body stuff totally different. All right, I think that's about it. Okay, so we're gonna draw on this front plane here, and I actually don't need my body right now. That's only gonna get in the way. We'll need it later. So I'm just gonna make a sketch here and draw this line down the center. All right, we're gonna design half and then we're gonna mirror it over. So this is going to be my lip height. I misspelled lip there. That's a tough thing to accomplish. My lip height. Boom. All right, and then we're gonna draw another line here, and that's my lip top width, and we want to divide that by 2, because again, we're only doing half. I'm gonna draw another line. I'm gonna make this a construction line because it's not gonna be part of the actual diagram. And this is my lip max width. All right, now one thing we can do here is we can use our top width to calculate kind of where that max width comes in, vertically, like at what point does it get to the max width. To do that, we're gonna hit the D key for dimension. We're gonna click our center button. We're gonna click here. We're gonna come all the way out and we're gonna do lip height, should be lip height. And then we're gonna do times, let's see, 0.85. And so that's 85% of the way down the lip, it gets to its widest point. And again, we can adjust these things later. Okay, that looks pretty good there. Now we just want to connect these segments with a spline. So I click foot point spline, click here, Oops, I do not want to make this a construction line. Unclick the construction line and click here. Click the check mark, hit the escape key. I want this to be a horizontal vertical constraint because I want to make sure I come in flat across the bottom there. Let's see, then here, I probably want to go vertical on that guy too. So I'll put him in a horizontal vertical constraint. And then this guy, what do we want to do here? It's a weird fat looking lip, isn't it? Oh, I see where I screwed up. Do you see where I screwed up? Leave it in the comments if you know where I screwed up. Okay, here's where I screwed up. See this dimension right here? Lip max width. What didn't we do? We're only building half. Gotta divide by 2. There, that looks a little better. All right, so now bring this guy kind of down where he was before. Actually, I think we want to make him horizontal vertical too. Go straight off there, bro. And then we can just kind of mess with, yeah, I think these constraints are, I constrained the wrong thing there. I constrained the 2 points there instead of the line, and that's why it wasn't letting me adjust the distance there. All right, that looks pretty good. So we're just gonna properly sketch these in, properly dimension these in, excuse me, to get our fully dimensioned sketch. All right, it's all black, we are all good. Okay, I forgot to add a parameter. Let's go add it now. So the parameter I forgot to add was how thick we want the top of the lip to be. We're gonna call that lip top thickness because we're super original. And let's make it, I don't know, 6. I have no reason for that whatsoever. Okay, so now we have basically the front profile of our lip, and all we need to do now is draw the very top of the lip where it's going to enter into our lure body. So we just make a sketch on the top here. We're going to draw another line. This is lip top width divided by 2. Let's not make that mistake again. This is my lip top thickness. Okay, now you have a choice. You can just make this kind of squared off a rectangle, or you can introduce maybe a little bit of a, I don't even know what you call it, skeg keel. Let me show you. All right, let's take a quick look at a commercial lip, and you'll notice that it is not flat at all. They almost always have a bow back here, and I don't know if that impacts performance or if it's just to make it more sturdy. I do know it makes it more sturdy for sure because you get a lot more material here, and obviously you get a much better connection to the body. So that's really what we want to try to bring to the home lure maker, is to be high quality lips like this that are super sturdy and provide excellent action. So let's go see how we do that. So I'll come back to the middle here and I'll make this my lip top width. To enter, whoops, wrong parameter. Lip top thickness, duh. All right, if I come over here, I'll just do lip top thickness, and I'm just gonna multiply it times, let's say 0.80. So reduce it by 20% roughly. Make this line 80% as long as the other. Boom. Then we will just take our old friend, the fit point spline, connect these two, and just kind of mess with them until they're at a place we want. We'll make that horizontal vertical. We'll actually drag it out pretty far. Take this one, bring that back in slightly. Again, man, you do you here. That's gonna be good for me. So I'm gonna hit the D key here. We're gonna zoom in to make this a lot easier. Make sure we're selecting this handle. Click this line, that'll give me an angle. Let's just make that 47. We're going to dimension this bad boy, make that 1.8. And dimension this bad boy, we'll make that 3.8. All right, now we're fully dimensioned, woo, all black. Finish sketch. All right, so now what we do, let's bring back our other sketch. And you can see I now have this profile going on, maybe, if I don't drive Fusion while I'm drunk. Okay, now we have this profile going on. So what we can do is now we just want to loft these guys. So I'm going to create a loft. I'm going to scroll around here to kind of the back. I'm going to select this and this. And you can see, boom, you instantly get a pretty awesome looking lure shape. And we can leave a new body. We don't really need any rails. Let me show you one thing you can do though, is this second profile. Instead of connected, we can do direction, and you can add a lot more body down the whole length of the lure lip. And you can adjust that just by moving this here. So, you know, I can puff it way out, I can bring it in, and that really kind of impacts this side view here. So you can see this, how it's kind of making it thicker or thinner depending on how far I pull that. And I'm just gonna, I don't know what to make that, dude. So like, we'll just eyeball it. We'll keep it kind of thick, chunky. Like, okay, there we go. We got a little bit of a weirdness going on right here, but you know, that's all right. World needs a little weirdness right now. Okay, so then we're just going to mirror this. Mirror, we want bodies. We're gonna select this, our mirror plane. Obviously gonna be this, and we can join them together because we want one piece. Boom, and there we go. Got a nice edge, all that goodness. Perfecto. Let's bring back our wake bait now. All right, so we're just gonna rename this body line to lip, not likip, lip, to make things simple to keep an eye on. So it just kind of got lucky that our lip ended up in pretty much the right spot. It's not the right angle, but it's in pretty much the right location. But I'll show you how to move it around just in case it doesn't go into the right spot on the body, which it most likely won't. All right, so now we just want to move this into the space. We click move, we want bodies, we select lip. And if I needed to move it kind of back and forth, you want to make sure you're on the side view here, and you want to make sure you're only selecting the arrows or this guy, right? So if I know I only want to move it back and I don't want to move it vertically, I just select this and move it back. If I only want to move it up and down and not side to side, I click that. If I want to move it kind of wherever I want to move it, I can click that, okay? And I already have a section analysis, so I'm gonna turn that on here and we can kind of see inside. If you don't have one already, you can make one. The other thing you can do is turn on the opacity of your lure body. Turn it down, should I say, so you can see through it. So let's do that real quick. So you right click on the wake body, opacity control, we'll make it 50%. Okay, so now we can see through it, kind of see what's going on. And then we'll go back to our move command, select our lip. Okay, so you really want to see inside just to kind of make sure you're not running into any features. Like I probably want to make sure I stay out of that cavity there. And you know, I probably want to make sure I'm not impacting these eyes. But one thing, you know, we talked about is we were modeling the lure body as, or excuse me, we're modeling the lip as it's outside of the body. And we're clearly inside the body now. So we want to actually move this down until we are outside of the body. And that's how we make sure that our links that we chose at the beginning, that we measured off of that, you know, man one in or whatever that was, you know, that kind of, that's so we get the full length of our lip. So if you look at any lip diagrams that have the measurements on them, they have a measurement, and that's generally speaking outside of the lure body, not the total length of the entire part. So I'm gonna move this down all the way I wanna make it go. And then here is where I change my degree, right? So on a wake bait, it's a pretty stiff angle, right? And you can just grab this and you can kind of fiddle it around wherever you want to go, make it an angle. I think I actually have a parameter. Yeah, lip angle, look at that, bro. But it's wrong. Can I do a negative lip angle? I have a problem with doing degrees in parameters because I kind of never know what's going on. But negative lip angle gets it done, which I'm pretty sure was 10, just like I had it before. Okay, so we got our angle on there, and now is probably the easiest time to kind of move it into place where you want it on the body. And I just try to make sure that when I position it, you know, I have one piece of the lip body kind of close to the lure body, but not necessarily all the way in there, right? Like it's not rocket science. Just get it close, but don't shove it all the way up in there. We're primarily concerned right here about the angle and where it is in relation to the lure body. Okay, that looks good. Click OK. Now what we want to do is build the part that's going to actually stick into the lure. And for that, we're going to select this face here, click the extrude command, and probably easiest to look at the right view here, drag it up and into the body. Now you can see we're on join now. That's why this thing went solid again, because it's really picking up the settings, if you will, from the lip, and the lip was not clear. But what we actually want to do is do a new body, and that'll turn the lure body clear again, so we're not joining it. And we're gonna go ahead and pull it up all the way through this pilot hole. Again, like I said before, you probably want to do the pilot hole after you do this step, but you know, we like to make things difficult here. And just make sure you're not into any other parts. We're gonna actually cut out this section in a minute, so we wanna make sure we're not cutting in anything on the lure body, which we printed separately, that would cause us problems during the print. So that looks pretty good. You know, I don't know, there's probably some sort of magic number, you know, wanna make sure you get it in there a certain amount. I got no idea. These generally work for me when I eyeball it. So click on OK. So now you can see we have this extra body hanging out over here. I'm gonna actually turn off my wake, and I wanna join these two together. So click on lip, click combine, click on body 10, oops, sorry. Click on tool bodies, click on body 10, and we can join. Boom. That just makes us back to one lip. Now we can turn back on our wake body, and now we want to do this combine command again. Our target body is the wake body, tool body is the lip. We want to cut, and most importantly, we want to keep tools, because we're going to need to print this lip all later. We want it to hang around. So click on OK. So now you can see if we hide our lip, we now have the cutout in there, and let's actually turn the opacity back on to 100%. Boom. So now we have this all nice cut out. And you can imagine when you go to print this thing and you print the lip, it's gonna slide right in there. Actually, probably not if you're printing it from two different resins. In my case, I'm printing the lip in Tech Blue, which is a very hard, clear resin, and the body most likely in Tech Fast, which is a cool green resin. So I know that the Tech Fast that the body is printed in is gonna shrink more than the Tech Blue that the lip's gonna be printed in. So I need to compensate for that. So I want to show you these two lips and this lure to kind of highlight an issue that you might run into. So this lure is printed in Tech Fast Green, it's their ABS-like resin. Again, I haven't really tested to see which resin is the best for lures. This is some stuff I had, and you know, I just think it looks cool because it's green. Then I printed this lip in the same resin, obviously, and then this lip is printed in Tech Clear Blue V2, which is supposedly one of, if not the strongest resins out on the market today, at least on the consumer level. The point here is that these resins have different shrink factors or ratios. And so if you're going to mix resins, change resins between your lure body and your lip, you want to make sure that you know kind of if it's going to shrink or not, and compensate in the lure body or the lip body accordingly, right? This one will slide in pretty easily. This one, you know, is a little bit too big. And you can see there it's not quite fitting in, and I need to sand this off here. Now, it does have a little bit of elephant's foot as well, but this shrinks from my testing about a little bit less than 2%. This resin shrinks at about, I think, a little bit less than 4%. So even though I fitted them in perfectly in the model, when I cut them out, I needed to either offset the face here a little bit, make more room here, or again, change the dimensions here. I find it easier to change the dimensions in the lure. And what I do is I just come in to this face right here and click there and use the offset face command and just move it back about 0.3, 0.2. You know, you'll need to experiment, but having it a little loose is okay because we'll fill it in with some resin or some super glue later, no problem. Easiest way I found to do that is to come in here, click this flat face, modify offset face, and just pull it back just slightly. Probably negative 0.1 is good. And that's gonna give us just a little bit of room there. Now, when you have something that's shaped like this, you know, that can cause you a problem as well. So maybe I want to actually undo that one and offset this face. Because what you have here is this little bitty section in the middle, and you need to kind of open it up to make room for that. The flat piece on top, you know, it'll get compensated for anyways. And so let's offset face and -1. Well, no, not -1, negative 0.1. Yes, okay. That was all a screw up. Negative 0.1 is what we're doing. All right, that looks a little funky, but oh well, we shall survive. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's get back let's add our lip back in here, and let's make our changes to our lip. Now, remember we talked about this kind of screw up I made before. Easiest way to solve that, turn off the lip, and in here, there's this circle right there. So it's basically the back of that hole is what I'm selecting. I'm gonna turn back on the lip, and I'm just gonna make sure this thing comes all the way through, and make sure we're on a cut. and objects to cut. Make sure our lip is selected, right? Shouldn't cut the body because it already has that hole there. If it does, you might be doing something wrong, but we want to make sure we add that hole to the lip. So click on OK. So now if I have my wake body, boom, we have a nice pilot hole through there. Now we just want to clean up the lip just a little bit to make things easier on ourselves. And so for this hole, let's add a fillet on there. Maybe not that big. How about a 0.5? Little fillet. I don't think I can fillet this, but let's try. Yeah, okay, 0.2 there. And I'm going to basically print this surface flat to the build plate to make things super easy. So we want to add either a fillet or a chamfer. I think I can chamfer these side edges pretty easily. So let's select those. Let's add a chamfer, maybe a 1 on there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then I probably, let's see, can I chamfer this? Let's try. I don't think that's going to work. Oh, look at that, it does work. Excellent. Okay, so I could have selected the whole thing, but I wasn't sure if that chamfer was going to work with that peak in there. Okay, click on fine. And now our lip is ready to grow. Ready to grow. And now our lip is ready to print and be part of the lure. Now again, if you wanted to, you could combine these bodies together and print it all in one piece. I will say it gets a little tricky to print that way with all the support structures and stuff like that. So even if you're using the same resin, I would strongly recommend printing this separately and then gluing it into place later. It's fairly easy to get lined up because we got a nice slot in here and we have our set screw coming into play that is going to kind of force it into the right spot, if you will. And so that's the easiest way to go about it. If you combine the two and try to print them with all the supports, not so easy. All right, so now that I'm all done here, I noticed that this lip looks absurdly long. And so since we use parameters and all of our sketches and everything were fully defined, that's really easy to fix right now. So we just go to change parameters and we look at our lip height, All right, I'm gonna fix that now because it's super annoying. And instead of it being our max width by 10%, actually I think I want to make that a lot smaller. So let's do this maybe times, 0.7, so 70% smaller. If I click, my computer will think a little bit, and then bingo, it'll update that to 21. And you can see the corresponding change out here, okay? And you can play with that if you know what that dimension should be. You don't have to do the calculations that I did. I just kind of thought we would use that as a ratio. If I know I want it to be 25, I can just come in here and say it's 25 and be done with it. And all the calculations will update. Actually, I think I'm gonna make it 20. And that looks pretty darn good. Now, I usually don't go and try to soften these front edges because actually the more sharp that front edge is, generally the more action you're gonna get because it's pushing the water completely sideways around your lip. If you wanted to, you could come in and soften it up and kind of go crazy there, but I kind of like that. So again, please keep in mind, you can make this whatever angle you want, but again, set the angle of the lure before you do the extrude into the body. That way you kind of have the right angle and everything set. Let's go print this bad boy and see what it looks like. All right, guys, we got the lips off the printer. We, of course, cured them and cleaned them, all that good stuff, and now we're ready to put them into our lures. I'm gonna show you a couple of different lips here, give you a couple of ideas on how to approach printing and really prototyping them more than anything. So I got two really different lips here. I'm working them on this wake bait here. The thing that I wanna point out is they both basically start from the same profile at the top here. And so you can actually print multiple versions, and as long as this top profile is the same where it goes into the lure, right? I can put this lip in here, and this lip is pretty ridiculous actually.
I think I might have messed up, but I'm gonna see how it swims. And then this lip here, totally different, right? But it fits in as well. So what I like to do in the design phase is kind of make sure that I have this top square section the same, and I can change the bottom all I want, and then when I bring it in there to my lure, when I extrude the top up, it all fits and it's all the same. So I haven't really found one I like in particular yet, profile-wise, but I think this is pretty good. It's got a nice little ridge here that I added, and it does kind of help seat it into the lure body itself. Okay, so let's get moving here on assembly. I'm not gonna use this one, I'm gonna use this big ridiculous one. So I already have a wake bait with that lip on it over here. So assembly is pretty straightforward. If you don't have one of your screw eyes going through the lip like I do, it's pretty easy. You just come in here with some super glue. I should really have my gloves on because I like to glue my hands onto things. And come in here and just apply a little here, a little there. I try not to get too much in there to make it, because then it will squish out the sides. You're probably better at super gluing than I am. I'm gonna put a little bit on there because I'll need that. But if you don't have this screw eye going through the lip like I do, you know, just a little super glue, sliding it in there, getting it seated, and you're good to go. Now if you do have a screw eye, I put a little super glue on this screw eye, and you're gonna wanna screw it in. Now, one thing I didn't show you is I do dry fit this stuff before I go to glue it, because if you don't have, for some reason, if you didn't get this lined up correctly, this screw eye, you really can't force a screw eye through this resin. This isn't even tough resin, this is like regular Tech Fast Green, but you still can't like force one of these, you know, kind of, I don't wanna call them weak, but you know, they're not meant to be driven through anything really hard. So you're just gonna shear that off there. All right. Oops. That was my air compressor, that wasn't my belly, I promise. All right, and you're in there, and it's already pretty secure because it's got this pin through it, but you know, you let that dry up, and you're totally good to go. So I got a rag with a little isopropyl alcohol in it. I use this to kind of clean up any rogue super glue before it dries, just so it doesn't kind of get in your way later. And there it is, ridiculous wake bait lip. See how it performs. All right, guys, I hope you found that super helpful. You know, you don't have to use resin crankbait lips for resin lures. You can obviously print them out and put them in any lure body you want, whether you're carving them with wood or, you know, other resins or whatever you're doing, bro. Don't be shy. Because the cool thing about it is you can print an absolute ton of them for relatively low cost and relatively quickly. So next up, we're going to be walking through how I finish these lures, hanging over my shoulder right here, and kind of the steps involved in that and how you get that done. So when that video's out, it'll be right here. Take care, tight lines.
Get her done.